everybody. We are going to start out on our back. So if you want to make your way down, the typical options here, you can start with your knees bent and feet planted. You might let your knees roll in towards one another, or you can take your legs out long. Arms can go wherever is comfortable for you. You decide if you want them a little wider today, maybe palms up. Or for more of a grounding feel, just bring the arms in. You can rest the hands on the belly, or one hand over the belly, one hand over the heart. And just close your eyes or soften your gaze. Begin to find a pause here. And just sense your body, whatever sensations are coming up. Notice the feel of the ground beneath you, the air around you. Notice your breath. Just allow the breath to deepen. Just each inhale in a little deeper. Exhale out completely. Feel the movement of the breath. You hear the sound of the breath moving in and out through the nostrils. Let's just take 2 more breaths here. If your legs are outstretched, begin to bend back into the knees. And from here, let's all tuck the knees into the chest. Give yourself a nice squeeze, maybe a few little rocks side to side. Come to stillness. And from here, we'll make our way up to a seat. You can rock up or come onto your side. Rest your way up. And then once we're up, if you want to sit on a blanket or if you have another prop you like to sit up on, we're going to find a cross-legged seat. Shins crossed in the middle, a tall spine. Just rest your arms lightly on your legs. And from here, we're going to begin to reach the right shoulder towards the right knee. Sweep the chest in front, around and to the left. And we're going to take these circles, rotating all the way around. Maybe you close your eyes and just feel into the movement. Every part the movement touches. Go one more circle this way. And then just pause, begin to take your circles the opposite direction. And let's go one more circle this way. Slow it down. Come back to center. We'll line up crown of the head right over the pelvis. And then from here, inhale, circle your arms around and up. Let's bring the palms to touch. Lower the hands down through heart center. And if you want to set an intention for your practice, something to guide you, something that you're working with, you can set that now. And then with your next inhale, circle the arms around and up again. As you exhale, rotate right. We're going to lower the hands down. Pause in this twist. Just let your back hand land wherever it does. And then we're Just reaching those right ribs back, left ribs forwards, finding length in the spine. And next inhale, we'll unwind, come back through center, reach up. Exhale, we'll rotate left, lowering the hands down, pause in this twist here. Explore that sensation up the spine. And then with your next inhale, unwind, reach up, maybe we gaze up. And let's bring the palms to touch again, lower hands down through heart center. We'll switch out the cross of the legs here. Just bring opposite shin in front or straighten your legs out for a moment if that feels good. And then find a seat again. And then we'll rest hands on the lap. From here, we'll tuck the chin in towards the chest. Just let your head settle for a moment. And then begin to slowly just rock the head a little side to side. We'll take some gentle neck movements, side to side, or if it feels good to make full circles, feel free. And just listen to your body here. Feel the sensation in the neck. One more time, side to side, or one more circle. And then bringing chin back down through center. Just gently lift your chin back up parallel with the mat. And then from here, begin to reach your chest forward, shoulder blades draw back and in. We'll lift the gaze up towards the ceiling. We're just gonna pause. And then begin to round into your spine, draw the shoulder blades apart. We can tuck the chin back in. We'll pause again. And then let's begin to flow that movement as you inhale, drawing chest forwards, maybe lifting the gaze, and exhaling to round. And find a few more breaths like this. Round, cat and cow. And then just come back to a neutral spine. From here, we're going to uncross the legs. We'll bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall open, finding bound angle pose. Or you could straighten your legs out just for something a little different. Let your hips settle here. Find that long spine. And then we'll take one hand outside of either hip. We're going to begin to reach the right arm up. We'll lean in towards the left side, any amount. Feeling length from the right hip up through the right fingertips. And then come back up through center. We'll lower that right hand down, reach the left arm up, and then leaning in towards the right side. You can always walk that right hand out a little bit. And then slowly coming back up, we'll land that right hand down. You can bring the legs in towards one another. We're going to take the hands behind, just leaning down into the palms, and then step the feet a little bit wider than the hips, a windshield wiper, side to side. Just any amount of movement. It's always a good idea to start off kind of small and then just build your way up. Maybe one more time, side to side. And then bringing the knees back up through center. We can heel toe the feet back in. We'll walk the hands forwards. And then from here, just lengthen your legs out. Give the legs a little wiggle. So the legs are just straightening any amount here. Let the backs of the legs settle. Bring the arms down by the sides, and we're going to start to make some circles. Maybe you keep the feet together, or you can take the feet apart. We're just going to circle out one way, and then the other way. And then come to stillness. Now we'll do something a little different. We're going to grab our blocks, and we'll take one block outside either ankle, kind of the wide way. Bringing hands down by the hips. Take a moment finding a long spine. We're gonna keep that leg, keep scooping belly button in towards the spine. We'll lift the right foot up. We're gonna take that right leg over the block, set it down, steady into that right leg, lift your left leg up, outside of that left block. Then we'll lift the left leg up, bring it back in, set that left heel down, right leg up, bring it back in, set that down. Try to keep your spine just the same. We're gonna do this a couple more times. So without changing anything up top, we're gonna lift the left foot up this time, left leg out, set it down, lift the right foot up, right leg out, set it down. Lifting right leg up, back in, left leg up, back in, set it down. Maybe one more time. Or we could take a break. So keeping the spine long, lifting that right foot up, outside, set it down, left foot up, outside, set it down, left foot up, inside, right foot up, inside, left foot up, outside, right foot up, outside, and then right foot up, inside, left leg up, inside. Bend into your knees, give yourself a little hug. That's that. That's a great strengthener just for your hip flexors, your abdominals. Just let that go. And then from here, let's find our way to tabletop. We can bring blocks back in. If you want to pad under your knees, pad under the knees. And then fingers spread nice and wide, wrists right under the shoulders, knees under the hips. We'll take a few rounds of traditional cat-cow. So as you inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the chest, lifting the tailbone, and exhaling to round. Inhaling a little back bend. You can notice that stretch for the abdominals. And then as we exhale, rounding, it's a stretch for the backside. Just a few more times. One more cycle. And then coming back to a neutral spine where we're just parallel with the mat. Step your right foot straight back. We're gonna stay on the right toes, create length through that right heel. Keep everything else the same, just float that right heel up any amount. Keep reaching out through that right heel. Option to add the left arm. You can float that left arm alongside the left ear, palm facing in, and then just pause here, gazing right down towards the mat. We can always set left hand down. Take one more breath. And then let's set everything down, tabletop. This time we'll step the left foot straight back. And then as you're ready, floating that left heel up. See if you can keep your hips level, just lift up as far as you're comfortable. Maybe adding the right arm. Just gazing right down towards the mat. See if you can find length through your left heel, forwards through the crown of the head, forwards through the right fingertips. Set everything down. From here, we'll take a child's pose. You can take your knees a little bit wider, big toes to touch. Ease your hips down towards your heels, forehead down towards the mat or a block. And let your breath settle here. Let everything rest, just breathing into your body, feeling into the hips, feeling into the shoulders, feeling into the backside. Notice your breath in the back body. Back ribs lifting, expanding with the inhale. Settling back in with the exhale. And then next inhale, let's begin to rise up. We'll come up through tabletop. And then from tabletop, we're gonna step the right foot straight out to the side, setting up for gate pose, planting that right foot down, and then walking the hands back, rising up. As you're ready, hands can come to the hips to start. And then we're just checking out the feet. We've got that right arch lined up with the left knee, and we're just firming down through that left shin, lengthening up through the crown of the head. we'll tee the arms out to the side. From here, just drop your right arm down, reach your left arm up towards the ear, and then we're gonna lean in towards that right side, adding a side stretch. Think length all the way from your left shin up through the left fingertips. And then we'll tee the arms back out. From here, we're gonna rotate right. So we're gonna take the right ribs back, left ribs forwards, gazing over towards that right side. And then steer your gaze forwards. We're gonna tip the left hand down. We'll land in this wide twist here. Right fingertips reaching up towards the ceiling. Just take one more breath. And then lower that right hand down. We'll bring the right leg back in, tabletop. This time, step left foot straight out. Take a moment just to steady yourself and then walk your hands back, rise up, and we just check out this shape here. Steadying down through that left foot, that left leg is long, and then we'll tee the arms out. Creating length through the fingertips, and then dropping the left hand down, reaching the right arm up, lean in towards that left side. Feel the sensation all the way from the right shin up through the right hip, up through the right shoulder, out the fingertips. And then we'll tee the arms back out. From here, we're gonna rotate left, spinning belly, ribs, and chest, keeping arms open nice and wide, steady into your base. And then we're gonna tip the right hand down this time. Left arm will reach up. That right hand lands right under the shoulder. Reach up through the left fingertips. And then let's lower that left hand down. Bring the left leg back in, tabletop. From here, take your hands forwards, just a palms width distance. We'll tuck the toes, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. We're gonna walk the dog. So this upside down V shape, wrists are in line with the shoulders, or you might have the palms a little bit wider. We're shifting shoulders away from the ears, lengthening hips up and back towards the wall behind, and just pedaling the feet out, stretching into the backs of the legs. As you're ready, come to stillness. Just pause here. There can always be a bend in the knees. We're looking for that length up and out through the hips, and then we can work towards straightening the legs any amount. Bend into both knees, shift your gaze forward, begin to walk up to the top. Take as many steps as you need, and at the top, we'll inhale, find a halfway lift, sliding hands up the shins, long spine. Exhale to fold in, you can bend into the knees here, and then inhale to sweep your arms around and up. Exhale, arms down by your side. And then inhale to reach up. As you exhale, fold in. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to fold. Next inhale, sweep your arms around and up. Exhale, arms down by your side. One more time, just flow with your breath. Inhaling up. Exhaling to fold in. Inhaling to half lift. Exhaling to fold. And then inhale, sweep your arms around and up. Exhale, arms down by your side. And just let the arms settle here. Let everything settle to stillness for a moment. We'll check out the feet. Just make sure we've got feet about hips width distance apart and parallel. And we'll start by just feeling all four corners of both feet. Steady, ground down through your feet. And then we're gonna take our balance for today. So if you wanna step off your mat, you can. It might feel a little bit more stable. We're gonna start by keeping the left foot grounded, lifting up onto the right toes, and then opening the right hip up. A little tree pose, maybe kickstanding that right foot to the ankle. Maybe that right foot comes up to the calf. And then we just firm in that left hip. Open that right hip any amount. Maybe bring palms to touch. Maybe bow branches. Just keep your eyes, your gaze steady. We're grounding down through that left foot. That left leg is nice and active. Keep your gaze steady. Let's bring the palms to touch, lowering the hands down through heart center, and then very mindfully just rotating that right knee in, setting that right foot down. Give the legs a little wiggle. And then we'll take that to the opposite side, steadying down into the right foot, lifting onto the left toes, Opening up that left hip, then we find our bind wherever that foot is going to meet the leg. And then we can pause there, working with the balance, steadying down through that right foot, firming the outer right hip in. Palms to touch or growing branches as you like. You can always move a little faster if you want to go to the next step, if you're feeling nice and steady today. If you want a little bit more challenge, you can always try shifting your gaze up towards the ceiling. Let's take one more breath. And we'll bring the palms to touch, lowering hands down, rotate that left knee in, set the left foot down. Give the legs a little wiggle. And then we're gonna do one more thing, one more balance here. So just stay where you are. We're gonna revisit our tree pose. Steadying it down into the left foot, lifting onto the right toes, opening that right hip up. But this time, we're gonna keep that right knee bent. We're just gonna begin to lift that right foot up. We'll lift that right foot up any amount. So this is a little different. Keep your gaze steady, firm into that left outer hip. We just lift up any amount. And then we're gonna slowly return that right foot down, rotate that right knee forwards and let that go. A little different. We're gonna steady into the right foot, lift onto the left toes. Our tree pose, maybe just kickstanding the foot today, right now, for this next one. And then we're gonna just begin to lift the left toes up, lift that left knee up. We'll keep that external rotation in that left hip and just lift up any amount that you're comfortable with. And then we'll set that left foot down, rotate left knee forwards, let that go, maybe a little swish, just let the arms hang. Sway it out. And then coming to stillness, we're going to turn towards the long edge, facing up top this way. So however you think about that, the way I usually have us start, facing forwards, and then we're going to step the feet wide. We'll take some blocks with us. Take some blocks along. We'll start out with the feet wide as you can comfortably take them. We're going to start with goddess pose today. So nice wide feet. We're going to let the toes turn out, heels in. So we're opening both hips up here, everything in a line, knees, toes, and then begin to bend into your knees. Let your hips settle any amount that you're comfortable with. So we're opening both hips up. We're letting the hips settle down low, keeping the spine nice and long. Think like chair pose. Just nice length from your tailbone up through the crown of your head. And then last but not least, you can add the arms. Drawing elbows wide, reaching the elbows wide, palms face forwards. See if you can keep everything else the same. And then begin to straighten into both legs. Reach both arms up, lengthen. Let's bend back into the knees. Goddess pose, settle in. Straighten back into the legs, reach up. Goddess pose as we bend back in. Let's do this one more time. Inhale to straighten. Exhale, goddess. Pause here. Let's take the right forearm down to the right thigh. Reach the left arm up. We're going to lean in towards that right side any amount. And then come back up through those goddess arms. This time, left forearm to the thigh, right arm reaches up. We lean in towards that left side. Good. And then we'll come back up through goddess, straighten into both legs, reach both arms up. Circle your hands down to your hips, shift your toes forwards, heels back. We're gonna keep this wide stance, steadying into the feet. Inhale, and as you exhale, fold in. Hinging and tipping, keeping spine long. You can pause at halfway or maybe continue to fold in. Hands can come down to the mat or the blocks. We're steadying into both feet here, straightening legs any amount. There can always be a bend in the knees. We just work towards lengthening over time, hinging and tipping over the hips. Next inhale, let's find a halfway lift with the spine. Hands are either down on the mat or down on the blocks. We're going to keep the hips where they are, steady into both feet. Begin to walk both hands over to the right. They could be on the blocks. Maybe we bind onto that right foot or ankle or calf, and then just fold and soften in any amount, taking that nice long stretch to the right. Begin to walk both hands back through center. This time we're going to take the hands over to the left, maybe walking the blocks over, maybe just binding hands to that foot or ankle, and then fold and softening over that left side, relaxing your neck. Take 2 breaths here. And then begin to walk both hands back through center. From here, we'll take the hands back up to the hips, steady into the feet. Begin to inhale the rest of the way up. And then from here, walk, step, hop, heel, toe, feet in, about hips width distance apart. And let's just give the legs a little shake out. All right, and then we're going to come back up to the top of the mat. Bring the blocks along with you. And then find mountain pose. Bring your hands to your hips. We're going to take a big step back, right foot, warrior 1. So about 4.5 feet or so. The right toes angled up towards that right side of the mat. And the hips are going to stay forwards. We just step the right foot back. So left hip crease is going to draw back in space. The right hip crease forwards. We're going to bend into that front knee, press back through the back thigh, and then sweep the arms up. Gazing forwards, warrior 1. Settle here for a moment. Just feel the strength in your legs and your feet. Take an inhale. As you exhale, straighten left leg, sweep your arms back. And then inhale to re-bend, reach up. Exhale to straighten, sweep the arms back. 2 more times. Last one. Warrior 1, pause here, bending into that front knee. We're going to open into warrior 2. So think the hips, that back foot, we're going to open towards the long edge. The hips just follow along with the foot. Maybe we take that back foot a little further back. We're still bending into the front knee, pressing back through that back thigh. Heel to arch alignment, maybe a little bit wider. And then arms T out to the side. So parallel with that long edge of the mat. Let's pause here. Warrior 2, gazing over the front fingertips. Steady through your feet. Flip your left palm up. Straighten into your left leg. Reach that left arm up towards the ceiling. The right arm can just slide down that back leg, or you can scoot it behind the low back for a bind. Maybe gaze goes up towards the ceiling. From here, we'll tee the arms back out, bend back into that front knee, warrior 2. Now gazing down, windmill the hands down to the mat or our blocks. We're gonna rise onto the ball of the back foot. So just free that right heel up. So now we're in a lunge, facing forwards, left knee right over the ankle. Big step up, right foot. Inhaling to half lift. Exhaling to fold in, and then inhale, sweep your arms around and up. Exhale, arms down by your side. Take your hands to your hips. This time left foot's gonna step back. Warrior 1. So just a step back, keeping the hips forwards, planting that foot down. Remember that the hips follow along with that foot. So if we keep the toes steering forwards, then the back hip will steer forwards. If we're open to the side like this, that back hip follows along. So pressing into the front knee, straightening back down through that back leg, reaching the arms up. And even just a little bit more, think about reaching your right hip crease back in space, left hip crease forwards. Find your breath here. Maybe we settle in a little deeper. One more breath. And then inhale, reach up through the fingertips. As you exhale, straight and right leg, sweep the arms back. Inhale to re-bend, reach up. Exhale. And just 2 more breaths. Feel each of the 2 movements. Feel each of the 2 shapes. And then we land back in warrior 1. And we're gonna Sense that for a moment. Now what happens when we go into warrior two? The hips are gonna open, that back hip's gonna open towards the long edge, that back foot follows along. Maybe we widen the stance a little bit. Right knee is pointing forwards, hips open towards the long edge, and then the arms just follow along. Gazing out over the front fingertips. Strong back leg, yep, strong back leg. And then from here, pause, let your gaze settle over the front fingertips. This time, float the right palm up, straighten into the right leg, reach that right arm up towards the ceiling. Left arm just slides down, or we scoop it behind the low back. Maybe gazing up towards the ceiling. And then tee your arms out, bend into that front knee, let your hips settle. Just a brief pause, warrior two, gaze down, take hands down to the mat and let the left heel just roll up towards the ceiling. So we just free that back heel up. We're gazing forwards, big step up, left foot. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to fold in, and then inhale, sweep your arms around and up. Exhale, arms down by your side. Let's bring the palms to touch. We'll keep the feet hips width distance apart here, or if you want to take the feet a little closer, we can take big toes to touch, just spreading heels slightly. We're gonna take a chair pose. So sometimes it's nicer with this closer stance, but it can feel a little bit more wobbly. So you decide. Hands to heart center. We're gonna begin to sink the hips down and back. Chair pose. Firming the outer hips in, creating length from the tailbone up through the crown of the head. Just gazing forwards. And if you want to add the arms here, maybe we reach the arms straight out from the shoulders. This is one option. Keeping gaze forwards. Maybe we reach the arms up alongside the ears, or just straight out from the shoulders. Take one more breath. And then let's fold in, let that go. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to fold. We're gonna plant the hands. This time step both feet back. Leg pose. Hands could be the blocks. Once we get the feet back, option to tap the knees down or keep the knees lifted. We're gonna scoop belly button in. Just gaze right down towards the mat. See if you can make your entire body active. Everything is active. You're reaching back through your heels, back through the tailbone, drawing crown of the head forwards. Scooping the belly in. And then tapping the knees down, untuck your toes, shift forward, lower all the way down to your belly. We're gonna slide hands down alongside the low ribs. Keep hugging your elbows in. So right alongside the sides here, palms down nice and light. And then inhale, begin to peel up. Head, neck, chest, baby cobra. Try to be really light in the palms. Keep curling your chest forwards and up, reaching the heart forwards, drawing the elbows in towards the sides. Let's begin to lower down. Walk your hands forwards, make a little pillow for the head, rest on one cheek. We'll bend into the knees. Just a nice windshield wiper side to side. Stillness. Let's let the feet come down. Walk your hands down alongside your low ribs. Drag the elbows in, and as you inhale, press up through tabletop. Let's pause there. Pat under the knees. We are going to be here for a little bit. So tabletop, knees under the hips. Think about steadying down into your palms. Steadying down through the left shin, the left knee. Feel your right knee begin to grow a little bit lighter. Maybe it even just floats up a little bit above the mat. We're gonna open the right knee out to the side. Fire hydrant, just lifting that right knee up any amount, and then lower that right knee down. See if you can keep everything else steady. Let's lift that right knee open and out to the side. Lower it back down. Let's do 2 more times. Just opening out. Maybe that thigh comes parallel with the mat. Lower it back down. Last one. Or we're just lifting any amount. Set that right knee down. Take a moment just to feel tabletop settle in. And then steadying into that right leg, we're gonna begin to float that left knee up. Then we're just opening that left hip up, reaching that left knee out to the side, any amount, lowering back down. And the work is to try to keep the hips level here as we open that left knee out and back down. Notice how much you're letting your hips swivel as you reach that left knee up. Better that we just go a little bit. We'll go one more time. And then just set that left knee down. From here, we've got the knees, hips width distance apart. We're gonna begin to take some circles, just reaching the hips to one side, around and back, then forwards. And just take a few circles here. You can always take your arms a little bit further forwards if you like. You can always adjust and take the knees a little wider if that feels good. Let's just circle it out one more time this direction. And then just pause, take those circles the opposite direction. And one more circle. And then slow it down, come to stillness. Let's make sure we've got the wrists underneath the shoulders. We're gonna step the right foot straight back. This time we'll kickstand the left foot to the side. We're gonna roll the entire body open towards that right edge of the mat, side plank. Right arm can stay to the hip or reach up towards the ceiling. So shoulders are stacked here. That bottom hand could always be to a block. Option to float the right foot up. Any amount. This is just an option though. Creating length out through that right heel, hovering. Maybe one more breath. And then let's lower that right foot down. We're gonna plant the right foot down. Now another option here is that we open the chest up, reaching the right ribs back, drawing that right arm back in space. And you can just open the chest any amount. And then we'll begin to just close that right hand back down, bring everything back in, tabletop. This time left foot steps straight back. Kickstand right foot out to the side, side plank, opening up towards that left edge of the mat. Left arm can reach up towards the ceiling. Now just remember the options here. We can keep that left foot planted or float. Extending out through the left heel, think length forwards through the crown of your head. Then lowering the left foot. Now this is also just an option, maybe reaching the left ribs back, drawing that left arm back. Any amount in space and gaze. We'll rotate up towards the ceiling. Then let's just close it back down. Left hand down to the mat. Bring everything back in, tabletop. Now one more thing, we're gonna walk the hands back. Rise up, really mountain. Take a moment to find length here from your shins, up through your hips, up the spine, and out through the crown of the head. And then let's bring the arms around and up. Bring the palms to touch. And then from here, take your elbows wide, drawing palms forwards, goddess arms. One more time, just steadying into the shins. Draw your elbows wide, keep your gaze steady. And then inhale, reach the arms back up. This time as we exhale, let's rotate right, opening the arms wide, steady down through your shins. Next inhale, come back through center, reach up. As you exhale, rotate left, opening the arms wide. Next inhale, come back through center. We'll reach up, maybe gazing up. Bring the palms to touch, lower hands down through heart center. And then let's just release the arms down by the sides. Just either keeping your fingers loose or you can ball up the hands. Let's just take some wrist circles because we have been on the wrists for a little bit. And then go the opposite way. And then coming to stillness. Just let your hands, your fingertips dangle down and just shake, give a little shake out for the wrists. Come to stillness. We'll take the hands down. We're going to interlace hands behind the back. Steady into both shins. We're going to keep the spine long, just straightening into the arms any amount, and then just lifting the hands up off the low back any amount. Trying to keep everything else the same. Maybe you notice what this feels like in the shoulders. If you've done this with a strap before, notice this, if this feels any different. If it feels like you'd like a little bit more room in between your palms, you can always take the hands apart. Just straighten out through the fingertips, lifting the hands up. Let's lower the hands back down to the low back, gaze down, lower hands down to the mat, and then from here we're going to scoop the feet to one side, draw the legs out in front. Coming to a seat, maybe coming back up onto a blanket if you like, a little height especially. So we're going to be doing some forward folding, so it's great to sit up on a blanket if you're a little tight in the backs of the legs and the hamstrings. That little extra height, and it helps tip the pelvis forward. So we get a little deeper into our fold. This might be where we use a strap. So if you have your strap, let's make sure you have that handy. And actually, let's start by bending into the right knee, and then letting that right knee follow. So we'll take Janu Shirshasana. You can always place a block under that bent knee. Left leg is long. If we're using the strap, we'll loop that around the ball of the left foot, grabbing one end. Grabbing either end, or just hands down by the sides of your legs. And then take an inhale here. As you exhale, fold forward, just hinging and tipping over that left leg, crawling the hands forwards. And then wherever you reach your edge, soften in. Relaxing your neck, softening your shoulders. Notice how much you're gripping, if at all, with the hands. That go, and just find your breath here. Let your gaze tip down. Settle in. Let's take one more breath. Inhale, begin to slowly rise up, walking hands back or letting hands slide up the strap. Set the strap aside. And take that right knee up. Slide the right leg out long. And bending into the left knee. Open that left hip up, bringing that left foot inside of right leg. If we're using strap, we can loop that around. And then start by finding length in your spine. And then just hinging and tipping as you exhale, folding in over that right side. Find your edge where you naturally slow in that fold, and then soften your neck, soften your shoulders, let your gaze tip down, and just find your breath. Let your breath deepen. Notice how you soften in with the breath. As you exhale out, it's just that natural settling, softening in. Let's take one more breath here. Inhale, begin to slowly rise up, letting that strap slide between the hands, unloop the strap, set that aside, will help the left knee up, slide that left leg out long, and just give the legs a little wiggle. And then we're going to bend back into both knees. We'll make our way down onto our back, so you can come off of any prop, make sure you have a block handy. Anything you like for Shavasana is handy. And then come down to lying on your back. We'll keep the knees bent, arms down by the sides, and just let your hips settle here. Bring your feet Hips width distance apart, knees up towards the ceiling. Let the backs of the arms settle. Ground down into your feet. We're going to prepare for a bridge pose. With the next inhale, begin to curl your hips up off the mat. Curl your spine up off the mat any amount. Coming to the backs of the shoulders perhaps, and then either steadying down through the backs of the arms, or you can roll one shoulder under and the other. You might clasp your hands behind your back. You can press the whole back side of the arm down, outer edge of the palms. Think about hugging your inner thighs in and down. Imagine a block there in between the thighs. You're just lightly holding on. Feel the inner thighs engage as you rainbow the hips up. Steadying down into the feet. Let's take one more breath here. And then begin to release. Just let go with the hands. Let your shoulders slowly come down. Spine, then hips, then let your knees roll in towards one another. And then let's scoop both knees into the chest. Apanasana, tucking in, making this little ball shape, maybe rocking again, or just pausing in stillness. And then from here, come to stillness. Let's take one hand to either knee. Begin to just open the knees apart, drawing the knees wide any amount. Slide your arms inside of the knees. Reach your hands for your feet. As you draw feet up towards the ceiling, you can bind on anywhere. Feet, ankles, calves, might be behind the legs. Happy baby. And we'll just draw the feet wide any amount. Reaching soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. Bending into the knees any amount. Maybe rocking side to side. Or just holding still. Notice how much your shoulders are lifting up off the mat, back of the head. See if you can work towards releasing them down. Softening the back of the head down. If there's still tension, you can't let go of that. Try placing your hands somewhere different, or even letting go with the hands entirely. Maybe you close your eyes. Maybe you wiggle your toes a little bit here. While we have the feet free, you can wiggle toes, maybe stretch the toes apart, give them some space. And then let's just begin to draw the legs back in towards one another. Draw the knees back in towards one another. Give yourself a squeeze. And from here, set your feet down on the mat. We'll tee the arms out to the side. We're going to take our supine twist. Maybe taking both hips a little bit to the right. Let both knees begin to drop over to the left. That right hip will lift. Knees fold over to the left. You can always place a block in between your legs. Place a block under the knees. Maybe you gaze out over those right fingertips. And then just settle in here. Any amount. Feeling that rotation up the spine. Finding softness where you can. Maybe it's just in the muscles of the face. Just relax around your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw. And next inhale, begin to slowly unwind, bringing both knees back up towards the ceiling, leveling the hips out. And then we're going to take both hips a little bit to the left this time. Let the knees begin to drop over to the right. And then soften in, allowing yourself to settle. If you need to let the knees slide apart a little bit, let them slide apart. A block would help you find more ease. Remember, just slide that block in. Find your breath, and I just allow the breath to deepen. 2 more deep breaths here. And then slowly begin to unwind. Bringing the knees back up towards the ceiling, leveling the hips out. And then one more time, just scoop the knees into the chest. Maybe we even lift up the head if you just want to round everything in, tuck up into a little ball. And then just release your head back down, soften feet down to the mat. We'll grab a block. We're going to take that block low, wide setting. Lift the hips up, scoop the block underneath. Starting with supported bridge pose, block supporting the pelvis. Feet either grounding down, planted, or if we'd like legs up the wall, we just lift the feet up. We straighten legs, reaching feet up towards the ceiling. And you might just pause here. Or you can take leg movements, ankle movements, whatever feels good. It's a great time to just tune into your body, see what your body still might need. Just listen carefully, and then just honor that. Any movements that feel good, or if stillness feels good, we just settle right in. And you just see how quickly you can drop into that stillness. Torso and arms down on the mat. Just allow those to grow heavier into that connection. All the air encircling the legs, the feet, the lightness in the feet. Let's just take one more breath here. Just begin to slowly bend back into your knees, bring your feet back down, and your feet down on the mat. And just let the feet ground down for a moment. And then as you're ready, just lift the hips up enough to scoot that block out of the way. Set it aside. Take any final movements, a gentle windshield wiper or anything else. Add any layers. Like to add layers before Shavasana. We are ready for that final resting pose. So take your time. Decide how you'd like to set yourself up. If you want the knees bent and the feet planted. And if you want to take the legs out long. Maybe letting the feet roll away. Well, remember you can just lay on your side as well. And tuck up, fetal position. And then once you've found your shape, settle yourself into stillness. See how quickly you can just drop in to complete stillness. Quickly you can relax your entire body. Softening and clenching and tightening. Just loosen up all the muscles of your extremities, all the muscles of your face, all the muscles of the neck, shoulders, back Just feel everything beginning to grow a little heavier. Quote for today comes from an unknown source. This is just like the moon. You shall go through phases of light and dark and everything in between. And though you may not always appear the same brightness, you are always whole. Just gently bring your awareness back. Start wiggling into fingers and toes a little. Make the movement gradually larger. If it feels good to take a nice long stretch, you can reach the arms overhead, lengthen out. Add any extra little wiggles. And then just as you're ready, make your way over onto the right hand side. We'll tuck up into the fetal position, knees hugged in. Find a pause there. And just slowly begin to press your way up to a seat. Find a comfortable seat. Maybe keeping eyes closed. Settle in, find that stillness. Tall spine, soften your shoulders. Next inhale, we'll circle the arms around and up, bringing palms to touch. Exhale, lower hands down through heart center. Just take another inhale to lift your chest. Exhale, bow forward. Thank you all for sharing in this practice with me. Namaste.
Namaste.